Are you hiding the fact that you are pregnant?
Yes.
Do you have a choice?
Yes.
You can leave your newborn infant, 72 hours old or younger, with an employee at any hospital emergency room or fire department. Safe, legal, confidential. No questions asked.
This child didn't deserve to die. He just deserves somebody to love him and say, you were valuable, and to do something that showed dignity to him now. We can't do anything to save his life now, but we can show him value and dignity, and that's why we began the Garden of Angels.
It's been said the death of any child is an affront to the natural order of things. Sometimes it seems even more so. At this cemetery, possibly the saddest of all funerals, baby Joel, found in a pile of rubbish dumped by his mother. No nursery was ever decorated, no joyful announcement by proud parents, just a brutal end, minutes after he was born.
We will never see your smile or hear your little innocent giggle. We have had our embrace, you and I will treasure it forever. But how I wish that it could have been so different. How I wish that you could have held me back.
Debi Faris-Cifelli has given a last embrace to scores of abandoned babies, throwaway children. She gives them a name, some dignity, and a simple acknowledgement that however fleeting, they once lived, all buried together in what she calls her Garden of Angels. It began one night in 1996 when Debi, a stay-at-home mother of 3, heard a troubling story on the 6 o'clock news.
I was in my kitchen preparing dinner and had the TV news on, and I heard a report about a little baby boy, newborn, being found in a duffel bag. That child just really stuck to me. I mean, I just couldn't get that child out of my heart or my mind. Just thinking, how could his mother just take him and just throw him away like that? And what's going to happen to him now? So all of those things kept rolling through my mind, and I knew what I had to do.
She called the local police, offered to give the child a funeral, and in the same week, another 2 babies were found dead. Now she had 3 children to bury.
Those aren't just white crosses out there for decorations. There are children out there underneath every one of them, and that's hard. And it's like I hear the voices of these children wanting us to do something to make it different for other children. Every time I go to a coroner's office and I see this little child and I wrap them and I look in their face, I want very desperately to be put out of the business of providing this loving service for these children.
In all of this, there are 2 victims, the baby and its mother. At first, Debi says she had only anger for these women, but over time, that has changed. First sadness, now compassion.
I started to think about the mothers and think about all their confusion and all the different reasons, their desperation, why they may have chosen something like this to do. And I don't believe that what they've done, the choice that they have made is ever right by doing this. It's never right. But I know that these mothers are going to live a lifetime in prison within their heart.
I was 19. I was extremely confused with everything that was happening to me. You know, trying to make sense of what was going on was just, it was like a bowl of mush. I I couldn't fathom what was happening, what was going on, or what was taking place. Here I was, in the middle of all of this confusion, by myself, alone, at home, with nobody to really turn to. I had woken up and I was having excruciating pains in my back. And those were not abnormal for me because I get pains like that, you know, for menstrual cramps. So I just figured I was starting my period. They worsened and worsened. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe I'm sick, because then, you know, I started feeling nauseous and things like that. So I kept myself in the bathroom by the toilet, and I kept getting hot and cold and hot and cold. And I just basically thinking I was like terribly ill. And because my back was hurting, I drew a bath. So I got in the bathtub, and that's when it all just happened. It happened quickly. You know, I heard a popping sound, and immediately I just looked down and I just saw the crown of my daughter's head. And at that point, I didn't really think, like, you know, how to react or what to do. Everything just happened. From that point on, she came out, I delivered her, I sat and I laid with her in the bathtub in some disbelief, and, you know, this is not my baby. You know, that's what I just kept telling myself. This is not my baby. This is not my baby. Once I regained strength, I cut her umbilical cord, and I pinched the end of it to, you know, stop the bleeding. Then I wrapped her up in a black t-shirt, and I drove to the hospital holding her in my arms, and I took her to the emergency room, and I put her in a basket, and I took her inside the emergency room and left her there. I remember sitting in the parking lot before I dropped her off, just sitting there thinking, what am I doing? But no, at that time, I didn't have any other choice, and that was the most important thing, was that I could take her there, so I did. We all make mistakes in our lives. I want every woman to know that, you know, they have an alternative, and they can change that mistake and keep it from turning into a tragedy. They have an option, they have a way out. I think it's very important that everybody know that you can take a newborn to a hospital with no questions asked, none. No one asked me any questions.